She doesn't pull away because she stopped caring. She pulls away because she started feeling unsafe emotionally, and most men misunderstand what that actually means. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Love doesn't disappear suddenly. Comfort does. And when emotional comfort turns into emotional pressure, attraction quietly shuts down. The number one reason women pull away, even when they love you, is this. She feels she's becoming the emotional center of your world, not your partner, not your complement, your center. At first, attention feels good, consistency feels safe, availability feels reassuring. But when your happiness, mood, and direction start depending on her responses, her nervous system notices. And when a woman's nervous system feels responsibility instead of desire, she instinctively creates distance, not to hurt you, not to punish you, but to breathe. This is where most men fail. They feel the distance and they close it with more texting, more explaining, more reassurance, more effort, which confirms her deepest fear. If I step back, he collapses. That's when love turns into obligation, and obligation kills attraction faster than anger ever could. Now, here's what most people get wrong. Women don't pull away because a man is emotional. They pull away because a man loses emotional self-regulation. Big difference. A grounded man can feel deeply without leaking that need onto her. An ungrounded man uses her presence to regulate himself. And the female brain is incredibly sensitive to that shift. She feels it before she can explain it. That's why she says confusing things like, I just need space, I don't know what I want, something feels off. She's not lying, her body is responding before her logic catches up. Now here's the paradox that shocks most men. The moment you stop trying to pull her closer, she feels safe enough to come back, not because of manipulation, but because pressure disappeared. Distance, when done unconsciously, feels like rejection. Distance, when done calmly, feels like strength, and strength restores attraction. This is why silence works, only when it comes from wholeness, not strategy. If silence is punishment, she feels it. If silence is peace, she feels that too. And women are drawn to emotional stability the way men are drawn to visual beauty. Before we go deeper, because the next layer explains why pulling away is actually a protection response, not a rejection response, understand this. If you've ever felt confused by her sudden distance, you're not weak, you're just missing one internal shift. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. If this perspective feels different from the usual dating advice, staying connected matters, because this channel doesn't teach chasing or games, only emotional clarity. Now, in the next part, I'll break down the exact moment attraction flips into pressure, the silent behaviors that trigger pullback, and why being too good backfires. The exact moment attraction turns into pressure is subtle, and almost no man notices it when it happens. It's not when you show care. It's not when you communicate. It's not even when you prioritize her. It's when your emotional state starts reacting to her behavior instead of leading itself. Here's what that looks like in real life. She replies late, you feel it in your chest. She sounds distant, your tone changes. She cancels plans, your confidence drops for the rest of the day. You don't say these things out loud, but she feels the shift. Women are wired to read emotional dependence the same way we read physical weakness. And when she senses that her actions regulate your inner state, attraction slowly converts into anxiety. That's when she begins testing, not consciously, but instinctively. She pulls back slightly. She becomes less predictable. She withholds warmth, not to manipulate you, but to answer one question. Is he solid, or is he attached to my approval? If you remain calm, present, and unchanged, attraction deepens. If you react, explain, or chase, pressure increases. This is where being too good backfires. Being too good means always available,
always understanding, always accommodating, always emotionally open. Sound healthy, but without self-boundaries, it becomes emotional flooding. And emotional flooding feels overwhelming, not romantic. Here's the painful truth most men resist. A woman doesn't want to be your emotional home. She wants to visit it. When she feels like she has to live there, she leaves. Now listen carefully, because this is where most advice goes wrong. Pulling away to get her back is not the solution. Recentering yourself is. That means your routines don't change because of her mood. Your purpose doesn't pause because of her distance. Your emotional state doesn't wait for her validation. Not cold, not distant, not indifferent, grounded. This is why men who are calm during uncertainty feel magnetic. They signal safety, and safety allows desire to return on its own. Here's the irony. The less you try to convince her to stay, the more room she has to choose you freely. Choice is attraction. Pressure is resistance. Before I explain what to do the moment she pulls away without pushing her further, let me say this. If you've been blaming yourself, stop. Most men were never taught emotional self-containment. They were taught effort. But effort without regulation creates imbalance. If this perspective is hitting close to home, stay with me. You don't need to fix her. You need to remove the weight you unknowingly placed on her. Next, I'll show what not to say when she pulls away, the one behavior that instantly calms her nervous system, and how attraction quietly rebuilds without chasing.
The biggest mistake men make when a woman pulls away is trying to talk it out too early. They say things like, "Did I do something wrong? You've been acting different lately. I just want clarity." It sounds mature, but emotionally it puts her on the spot. When her feelings are already unsettled, questions feel like pressure, and pressure makes her retreat further. Here's the psychological truth most people don't explain. When a woman pulls away, she is trying to feel again, not think. Attraction lives in emotion, not explanation. So the moment you push for logic, reassurance, or definitions, you accidentally shut the door she was trying to reopen. What actually calms her nervous system is emotional steadiness without demand. That looks like this. You notice the distance, but you don't chase it. You stay warm, but you don't overgive. You stay consistent, but not reactive. Consistency without intensity. This creates contrast. Her mind starts to register something powerful. He didn't collapse when I stepped back. That triggers curiosity, and curiosity is the bridge back to attraction. Now, here's something uncomfortable but important. When she pulls away, she's watching how you treat yourself, not how you treat her. Does your energy drop? Do you become less decisive? Do you subtly seek reassurance? Or do you remain the same man with or without her response? Women are deeply drawn to emotional self-leadership, not dominance, not control, self-leadership. That's why silence, when grounded, is stronger than explanation. That's why presence, when relaxed, is stronger than pursuit. But be careful. This is not about playing games. It's about removing emotional urgency. Urgency says, "I need this outcome." Calm says, "I trust myself regardless of outcome." One repels, one attracts. Here's the shift that changes everything. Instead of asking, "How do I get her interest back?" ask, "Am I still centered in myself right now?" The moment you return to your routines, your purpose, your rhythm, you become emotionally lighter, and lightness is attractive. Now, a quiet truth most men never hear. Sometimes she pulls away not because she lost attraction, but because it became too safe, too certain, too soon. Desire needs a little space to breathe, and when you give space without resentment, you show strength without force. That's rare. That's memorable. Before I explain the exact behavior that makes her come back on her own terms, there's one mindset you must lock in first, or everything collapses again. The mindset that keeps attraction alive when she pulls away is simple, but most men fight it. You stop trying to be chosen and start choosing yourself. Not in an angry way, not in a cold way, in a grounded, self-respecting way. Here's what that looks like psychologically. You don't punish her with silence. You don't reward distance with extra effort. You don't perform emotional gymnastics to fix the situation. You remain available but not attached. That emotional neutrality is powerful because it removes pressure, and pressure is the enemy of desire. When she senses that your emotional state is stable without her validation, something shifts in her mind. If I step away, he doesn't shrink. If I return, he doesn't overreact. That combination creates emotional safety plus intrigue. Now let's talk about the behavior that quietly brings her back without chasing. You keep living visibly well, not to show off, not to provoke jealousy, but because you don't pause your life for uncertainty. You still show up confident, communicate calmly, respond, not react, keep conversations light when they happen, no heavy talks, no emotional audits, no "where do we stand" speeches. Why this works? Her attraction returns when she feels, not when she's convinced, and feelings return fastest when there's no emotional debt, no guilt, no pressure to decide. Here's a truth most dating guys skips. Women don't come back because you waited. They come back because you didn't wait emotionally. You didn't freeze your life. You didn't orbit her mood. You stayed whole. That signals value. Now, this is critical. If she does re-engage, you don't bring up the pullback. You don't ask for explanations. You don't seek reassurance. You match her energy, calmly. Let her earn closeness again, slowly, naturally. That's how trust resets. That's how desire stabilizes. And if she doesn't return, then her pullback wasn't a test, it was a signal. And you still win because you didn't lose yourself chasing clarity. One last thing before we close. If this kind of psychological clarity helps you stay calm, confident, and emotionally grounded in relationships, you'll want to keep learning this way of thinking. That's exactly why this channel exists. Here's the deepest truth most men never hear. Attraction isn't maintained by holding on, it's maintained by emotional balance. The moment a man ties his self-worth to a woman's consistency, attraction becomes fragile, because desire needs freedom to breathe. When she pulls away, it's not always because love disappeared. Often, it's because pressure replaced polarity. The man became predictable, emotionally reactive, too available in a way that removed mystery. The fix was never more effort. It was less attachment. Not detachment, not indifference, but self-rootedness. When you stay grounded while she fluctuates, you communicate something powerful without words. I want you, but I don't need you to be okay. That sentence alone changes the entire dynamic. And here's the paradox. The man who is willing to lose her emotionally is the man she feels safest moving toward, because he isn't trying to control the outcome. He isn't demanding reassurance. He isn't negotiating desire. He's centered. That's what creates attraction that returns and stays. So if a woman pulls away, don't chase, don't confront, don't collapse. Stabilize. Let her feel the space. Let her feel the contrast. Let her choose. And if she chooses you again, it will be real, not pressure-driven, not fear-based. That's the difference between temporary attention and genuine desire. If this perspective helped you see attraction differently, you already know what to do. Stay grounded, stay self-respecting, and understand the psychology before reacting to emotion.